Hello students, today we are going to talk about modal auxiliary verbs. Now modal auxiliary verbs are a kind of verbs and a kind of auxiliary verbs of course. So there are two kinds, primary auxiliary verbs that are forms of verb be and then do and has, have, had, etc. Okay, so these are primary auxiliary verbs, and then we have modal auxiliary verbs. If you want me to discuss verbs and their kinds, you can comment in the comment section, and then I might make a video on verbs and their kinds. Okay, but in this video, because it was requested by some of my students, I'm making this video, and today I'm just going to discuss modal auxiliary verbs. Okay children, so what are modal auxiliaries? Modal auxiliary verbs are words that help the main verb in communicating ideas such as permission, possibility, compulsion, prediction, willingness, promise, necessity, speculation, deduction, etc. Okay, so following is the list of modal auxiliaries. Let's look at the list of the modal auxiliary verbs. So these are can, could, may, might, must, need, ought to or ought not, shall, should, will, you, would, used to. Okay. So now what is the structure? So structure means how they are used in a sentence. So in affirmative sentences, how do we use it? So the structure will be subject plus modal auxiliary plus bare infinitive. Now what is bare infinitive? There are two kinds of infinitives, no? To infinitive and bare infinitive. So as I said, if you want me to do a video on verbs and their kinds, I can do it if you just message me or you just let me know in the comment. Okay, so modal auxiliary verbs are used with bare infinitives, like I can write a letter. So in this sentence, let's analyze this. I is the subject, can is the modal auxiliary verb, write is the bare infinitive. Okay, and then a letter is object. In the negative sentences, how do we use it? So here again we have subject plus modal auxiliary verb plus not and plus bare infinitive. I cannot complete this work without your help. So when we analyze the sentence, we can say that I is the subject, cannot, can is the modal auxiliary verb, not, and then bare infinitive, that is complete. In interrogative sentences, now interrogative sentences are of two kinds, yes no questions and WH questions. Of course there are other kinds too, like question tags. So they are basically like yes no questions only, and then there is one more that is we can say rhetorical question. So that's another thing I can talk about it in the other video which I will make. Okay, so in interrogative sentences, how do we use it? If it is an yes no question, so modal auxiliary plus subject and plus bare infinitive. Will she go to the party? Will is the modal auxiliary, children, she is the subject, and go is the bare infinitive. Now let's have an example of WH question. But before that, the structure. So WH question will be there. WH questions are what, where, how, when, etc. So WH question plus modal auxiliary plus subject and plus bare infinitive. What shall I do now? Okay, so that was an example of the WH question. Now let's talk about the modal verb can. Modal auxiliary can. Can shows ability. Okay, so my daughter can drive. It means the daughter is able to drive. I can write a letter. That means I'm able to write a letter. Permission. In informal settings, can is also used for asking permission. Sometimes it is even considered more polite to say can. So you can use the dictionary. Future possibility. She can secure a good rank. Request. Can you help me complete the work? And then offer. I can give you some hints. Suggestions. It can be used to make suggestions also. For example, you can read a book instead of watching a movie. Willingness. That means you are willing to do something. I can do it if you like. Now next, could. So could, as you can see, it's a past tense of can. So it is used to show past ability in the past. For example, I could jump very high when I was in school. Condition. So like it can be used for conditions also. Like something can be done if there is if other thing is done. Okay, so that conditional. So you have read about conditionals too. So how can we use it? You could have scored better had you tried. Possibility again. There could be better ways to solve a problem. It is also used as request for request, and it is a very polite way of asking question. Could you help me find my way? That's a very polite expression, children, so you should use it. Seeking permission. Could I please attend your lecture? Okay, there should be a question mark. Could I please attend your lecture? Suggestion. We could take a walk. Let's now talk about dare. So, dare. Dare I fight with her? She dare not go against her parents. Indignation. How dare you? So, you already know, children, dare means courage. Dares, dare you. This is a game also of dare. Like, can you just do it something? So, dare I fight with her? She dare not go against her parents. Now, let's talk about may. So, may is the formal way of granting or seeking permission. So, that's a very formal way of asking for permission. For example, or giving permission. For example, you may call me in the evening, and then asking permission. May I go out for a while? It is also used for, for prayers or wishes. For example, may God bless you. And it can be used for prediction. Prediction, children? It may rain tonight when there is a very strong possibility of raining. Okay? Strong possibility. The president may visit the city this week. This is also a strong possibility. Might. So may was there, and might is just similar to can and could. May and might. Might is the past form of may in reported speech. So the inspector said that he might visit our school soon. And it is also used for weak possibilities. For example, it might rain tonight. So suppose there are like clouds are scanty in the sky, but there is a like windy day or a very beautiful weather is there, very cool weather is there. There can be a weak possibility of raining. So in that case, you can use might. It might rain tonight. Let's now talk about must. Must, as you know, it's compulsion, it's necessity. You must abide by the rules of the school. And it is also a strong obligation or duty. I must listen to my teachers. It can be used for prohibition when accompanied with not. So you must not make a noise in the library. Now let's talk about have to or has to. So it also shows compulsion. Everyone has to sign the letter. All students have to return their report cards after getting it signed by their parents. It also shows obligation. I have to return Hemant's book tomorrow. Absence of obligation. You don't have to eat things that you don't like. Need. Need is again obligation. I need to complete my work today. And or when it is in negative, then absence of obligation. For example, you need not come for practice tomorrow. Now let's talk about ought to or ought not. So now ought is like a moral, moral advice. So obligation. You ought to respect your teachers. So it's like more like a moral duty. Okay, children? So you ought to respect your teachers. Assumption or expectation. For example, she ought to get the promotion. Or probability. The price of necessary goods ought to come down in the next 2 months. Advice against something. For example, you ought not smoke so much. Let's now talk about shall. Now, shall can be used to make sentences in future tense. For example, I shall meet you tomorrow, or for polite questions or offer. So, shall we go to movies tonight? It can also it can be used for suggestion or seeking advice. For example, shall we inform the police about the recent theft? Now, should. So similar to can, could, may, might. Should is in some ways past form of shall. Advice. You should. It is used to give advice. You should buy a plot. You should quit smoking immediately. It is a request for advice too. For example, what should I do now? Should I write a letter to the municipality? Or it can be used to denote weak possibility. I should see Maya in the library. So, like, I have this idea that if I go to the library, Maya will be there in the library. So, I should see Maya today in the library. And will. Will is also used to denote future tense. She will arrive tomorrow. I will send the documents by next Monday. Intention. We will help you complete the task. Or willingness. I will drop you at the station. Now let's talk about would. Usually to talk about past. George would work out for more than 4 hours every day is the thing of the past. In reported speech, Maya said that she would bake the cake. Or it can be used for a very, very polite request. Would you make a presentation on your project for our students? Or it can be used for condition. They would have helped us if they could. Let's talk about used to. Now, used to is a marginal modal verb, my dear children. It is just used to denote actions that that happened in the past. So, regular actions of the past or habits of the past. So, for example, I used to play football. That means when suppose I was in college, I played football, but now I don't play. So, I used to play football. She used to read a book before going to bed. So that means it was her habit when she was a child probably, but now she doesn't do it anymore. So something, our habits that were, that we used to do in the past. So that's how we use this modal verb used to. So I hope children you have learned a lot about modal auxiliary verbs. So this was just a video for revision, a quick revision. So whenever you feel like, you can come back to the video and have just revise modals quickly. So I hope you enjoyed, children. Thank you so much.